you, Senator Tillis. Senator Smith from Minnesota is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member Toomey, and welcome to our three highly qualified and experienced nominees, and congratulations, and thank you for your willingness to serve on the Fed board, especially and particularly in this moment. And I look forward to supporting all three of your nominations. You know, the three nominees here today are highly qualified and dedicated public servants. Your experience and expertise and perspectives are much needed on the Federal Reserve as our nation navigates some really complicated economic times. And I want to say that I appreciated the excellent conversations I've had with all three of you and have found you to be informed and reasonable and qualified and fully committed, I might say, also to following carefully the mandates and the authorities and the independent role of the Fed. Professor Bloom Raskin, I really appreciated our conversation and your commitment to the value of community banks and small banks. I shared the story of my grandmother, I think, who was the president of a small community bank. And your deep understanding of the value of small banks in a fair and resilient and stable financial system. And I must say, you have been absolutely clear, both in public and in our private conversations, that you emphatically believe that the Fed has no role in picking winners and losers in our economy, including in the oil and gas sector. Maybe this is why, as Chair Brown noted, you have been confirmed with bipartisan support before. Dr. Cook, your experience and perspective on how all sectors of the U.S. economy need to work for everyone, and the role and the responsibilities of the Fed, I think are authoritative, and I really appreciated the chance to speak with you. And Dr. Jefferson, your extensive work on poverty and inequality will be invaluable as the Fed pursues its dual mandate of maximum employment and stable prices. And I also just want to note, as several have, that we all know that the Fed has traditionally been very short of diverse voices. And it is important, it is vitally important that the Fed include diverse perspectives so that decisions that it makes are going to consider not just whether Wall Street is thriving, but whether Main Street and small businesses and families everywhere in our country are getting ahead. I appreciate that. I believe you will be, all three of you, in the perspective to bring in the position to bring that perspective forward. I just want to hone in a little bit on a few things, Dr. Cook and Dr. Jefferson, to understand how your research and experience will inform your work on the Fed in just the little bit of time I have. Dr. Jefferson, much of your academic research is focused on the labor market, which is very fits so well, and income inequality and poverty, which all of us on this committee, I believe, are concerned about. How will your research inform your work on the Fed, do you think?
Thank you so much for that question, Senator. And one thing that I think it's important for us to do is look at the history of expansions here in the United States. And one thing that we see when we look at our history is that long, non-inflationary expansions are highly inclusive. That is, the longer the expansion, the wider they tend to be, and the more people are brought into employment and prosperity across social economic groups. So if I were confirmed, I would very much want to advocate for policies on the part of the Fed that would lead to long expansions that are non-inflationary.
You're observing also that fairness in our economy is good for our competitiveness. It's good for our productivity. It's good for opportunity, and it gets exactly to. Paul Wellstone was not, as far as I know, an economist, but when he said we all do better when we all do better, I think he was hitting exactly on what you were talking about from an economic perspective. Dr. Cook, I appreciated in your testimony, you said, my approach to complex problems is to be guided by facts and data and analysis and to work collaboratively. You say, I will do my work based on the facts and not politics, and you pointed to Paul Volcker as a person who you admired for his unwavering commitment to a non-political and independent Fed. Could you just say a bit in the 10 seconds I have left on how you'll bring your experience to bear on the Fed?
I'll just say in a word that my experiences abroad have really opened my eyes and informed me about the dual mandate of the Federal Reserve, both unemployment and stable prices, because not all central banks have that dual mandate. They're typically focused on stable prices. And my research also has informed this view through the avenue of innovation, which undergirds economic growth. And what I find is that broadening participation through STEM, for example, in the innovation economy certainly helps us all, not just those individuals who participate. So that's what I would bring to the deliberations on the Fed if confirmed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Smith. Senator Van Hollen, I believe you have nobody, right? So, Senator Van Hollen's recognized from Maryland for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Toomey, and welcome all of you, and Dr. Cook, Dr. Jefferson, Governor Bloom, Raskin.